I hate Nathan. He put this music on. This is why I hate it. No, man, I hear you talking. I think Nathan did it. I think he did this for fun. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leftovers. I'm your host, Sean. Tonight we have Matt, still the other Matt. And we have our own member of the AARPG, Tony Cupo, here, who's a producer. He should have put that in there. And we have Alain Matz here. And we're here to discuss their project, The Magic Hour, which is right now on Amazon. Here's a link. You can go watch this fine apocalyptic romantic movie with some nice twists and turns. And I'll leave it at that. Follow us at the AARPG.com podcast, follow, and subscribe. And as always, before we, actually, I'm going to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. So, Tony, tell everybody about yourself again.
Hey, Tony from the podcast. How you doing? We had a great time celebrating our 4th anniversary. It was last week actually, but this week I'm here to tell you guys about a film I'm really proud that produced with my buddy Alain Matz called Magic Hour, and you're going to learn all about how we got it made, but it was really a labor of love, and it was a really big collaboration with a school chum of mine, Alain Matz. Al, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Alain Matz. I'm Tony Cupo's friend.
His one friend.
Yes, I am his friend.
One is all you need.
So I met Tony back in 1990. So I've known him since 1990 in college. And so I'm still pretending to be his friend to this day. And
I owe you lots of money, by the way. Yes.
We've oddly enough, we've spent the past few decades collaborating on some shit, trying to get some shit made, getting a lot of stuff not made, but we're constantly cracking at it. And here we are today.
And they're here sharing the Magic Hour. So, this is right from the website. So this is and I'll read it right off from the description. In this darkly comedic romantic thriller, a young couple are separated on the eve of the apocalypse and fight against the worst of humanity to be united before the end of the world. Over the course of the night, Max and Vicky learn just what a nightmare their neighborhood is. So that is the Magic Hour. Now, that's the summary of it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's easy to find. If you just type Magic Hour and you'll find it. And
actually, it turns out, don't do just that. I appreciate you putting the link up, because it turns out there's a couple of films named Magic Hour, but
they're plagiarizing.
If you put in the writer director Alain Matz, then it pops right up. So just a little tip on the search. There's a couple of Magic Hours out there. So
yeah,
you got to find ours.
Yeah, this one runs 75 minutes.
We watched it last night, and I had to go back and type apocalypse or something like that, and then it found it. Right, it was right off. But you're right. It was pretty easy to find. So you're listed, Alan. You're listed as the director, but also the writer.
Yeah.
So I guess when there's often a lag. When did you write this story?
So
and what was kind of your inspiration for this concept?
So this goes all the way back to 2017, I think, right, Tony? I think this goes all the way back to 2017 because we shot it in 2018. There's a long story to getting Magic Hour done. And essentially what happened was Tony and I had once again said, all right, screw the world. We're sick of trying to work for other people and get things made. We're going to just fucking make our own movie. And I pitched him the idea of a film, and I guess it was an anthology I guess Killing Time was an anthology, right? I never really thought about it that way, but we came up with this idea that was an anthology action movie that we could do really cheap. And we wrote it. There were a few different writers involved. And Tony said it's going to cost us $60,000 to make this movie. I have no idea where he got that number from. I'm fairly certain he just made it up at the time because he doesn't fucking know what he's talking about. Yeah. And so we were like, okay. So we started figuring out how are we going to raise money to make this little independent film. At some point while we were doing all that, I don't remember where it came from, but there's all these big tentpole blockbuster movies about the apocalypse, the end of the world, right? Roland Emmerich movies. I mean, they're all these big spectacle movies, right? The apocalypse is always the big summer blockbuster. And I somehow got this idea in my head. I was like, well, what if instead we do the exact opposite? What if we make a really small movie that takes place on the apocalypse, but away from all the destruction and mayhem that's going on, in the big action movie, and just focus on what's happening in a few blocks around in a small neighborhood. And that was basically the initial kernel that gave me the idea to do Magic Hour. I had no idea what was going to be the apocalypse. I had no idea about anything. And I don't remember if I pitched it to Tony or if I actually sat down and wrote it. I remember I wrote it really fast. And I think I sent him the script and I said, hey, check this out.
So we realized like raising money is really hard. And so what I did get, I remember very clearly, I got a text message from Al and you laid out the main beat. So it was actually a text message. I read it. I called you up. I'm like, good. And that was my very
your response was good. Now put that away and let's focus on Killing Time. And I was like, I thought you'd be like into it and want to make it. You don't want to make this with me?
No. So
and he was like, I was like, while we're raising money to make this other movie, we can go shoot this even cheaper movie that will cost us nothing because we're just going to shoot it outside my apartment in the blocks around my apartment. And he was like, "Oh, you wanted to make this too?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he and
no permits, just do it.
No, it was all going to be just run and gun. We'd shoot it in my apartment, in anybody involved's apartment, and just outside on the street at night, in the middle of the night, with nothing.
But I think that was the beginning. But I could say, one amazing thing was we had. Once casting started, I think that's when it became very real. You end up finding some really great talent to join in.
Yeah. Did you know any of the talent, like people you knew, or you just threw out a casting call?
I knew a couple people, but the leads, Maurice, who plays Max, and Breeza, who plays Vicky, they were cast. They were brought in by other people. We knew actors who helped us kind of cast the film, and we had just a tiny little casting session in my apartment, and a bunch of people came and they read, and I knew pretty early on, pretty much the first time they read that Maurice and Breeza were going to be the leads. They just immediately had the right
there's good chemistry there.
I actually thought they knew each other and they didn't, and I thought they had already known each other.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's nice that Tony reached out to his friends to play like the clown or something. I mean, I would have played I don't want to get into that. Anyway, but it's not like anybody included their family members in any of these movies,
which is not unheard of. If you go back to the old, what is it, the Toxic Avenger? I think like most of those people in that movie are the guy's family members.
Yes,
it's like
I'm not surprised.
Not an unheard of technique. But then you get the talent you get with your family.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we've got friends and family in it, mostly small little parts. But if you just need somebody to fill up a moment, stick them in there. But most of the cast were actors, were cast, based on their audition.
No, it's good. No, it's your leads are great. Some of the other characters are just pretty memorable. No, pretty memorable actually. So you talked about money. So when you're doing this small little out of the back pocket thing you've come up with, because that's what I'm going to say. It's like, something you write on literally on a napkin or something. I got this idea. We're going to put this, let's put some lines together. How do you fund that? Do you pull? I mean, in this case, I'm curious. Some people use their own money, like you got the clerks, for example. Kevin Smith, or loan a little bit of money, and you go out, or do you just like go to some friends? Hey, man, I want to make a movie. You gotta give me $50 or $100 or whatever.
So Magic Hour, if I were to add up everything I spent on certain things, I had to buy certain props. There are some things you have to spend money on.
Yeah.
If I were to add everything up, I would say Magic Hour cost less than $1,000. We did everything for free. Everybody involved worked for free just because they wanted to get something on their reel. They, just liked the project and just wanted to be a part of it because they thought it seemed fun. That's part of the reason it took us so long to do it too. That downside to it. We had tons of time because we weren't, locked in financially with anybody that we had to, try and get them their money back or anything like that. But we spent nothing. We spent nothing on that.
I mean, like for LA, like the DP, the crew. I mean, at the time I was working at a entertainment a channel, and they had a studio, and so I was able to, so some of most of the news stuff was shot there, off hours, and so you just got to like go in guerrilla style and just snag shots whenever you can.
Yeah.
No,
actually, Al, how much was the knife? Maybe the knife was the most expensive. I mean, remember the knife? You had the special. There's a knife involved in the film.
Yeah,
I don't want to give anything away.
I have one of our friends from college.
Yeah.
John Weisgerber. He made some stunt knives for me because he's an effects guy. So he made some stunt knives so we can make it look like we were cutting people. Post didn't charge me for it. It just I had to send him the knives and he had to send it back. So, but again, he was like totally stoked to do it because he thought it was cool. I had to buy fake blood. I had to buy a severed head. Things like that. So yeah, it all added up. But it was also a terrible curse because not having any money is the reason it took us so long. We would have people get involved with the film who were going to do a specific task, particularly in post-production, and then sit on the film and never do it. Bow out saying, you know what, I just don't have the time to do this. And it was almost a year fucking later and nothing had gotten done. We had day jobs, vampires do exist and it's called the fucking day job. It sucks the life out of you. And to go then work on something you've created, it's exhausting. You just don't have the energy to do that. So
how long did it take to shoot? Because I know you had, it's always hard to tell when you're watching something how many scenes are like it was all one night or that was multiple nights. So it's very hard as a viewer, which I guess is good.
Yeah, good question. I don't remember exactly. It was multiple evenings and weekends. I think we got the whole film shot, Tony. Maybe you remember. I think we got the whole film shot in the span of about 5 weeks, various nights. It wasn't very long. I mean, we were able to shoot it pretty quickly, but it was broken up over nights.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I think.
And so, given some of the scenes, I won't give anything away. Sort of the stuff that did you have to like, even if you didn't do something official, did you like knock on people's door and be like, "Hey, we're going to be out doing some this," or did you guys just?
Yeah. You're going to see something. It's not what you think.
No, we didn't ask for shit. In fact, one night, something funny happened. One night we shot a scene and there was blood all over the road on this little side street in front of houses. And some fucking dude came out of his house and he's like, well, you can't just leave all this stuff here. And we were like, what stuff? And he's like, there's the stuff you left on the road, and he was talking about the fake blood, which is sugar, right? It's all
Right, corn
taro
syrup, right?
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, in 10 minutes, that's all going to be eaten by raccoons, squirrels, and
Ants,
crow.
right?
Like
Yeah.
that's going to be gone. Like it's sugar. The animals are going to come get it. And so we started walking away, and we turned around, and the dickhead was out there hosing down the street. It was the funniest thing. But we were shooting in the middle of the night, so generally speaking, all the exteriors, generally speaking, nobody was even awake. It was.
That's pretty
we
wild.
didn't. We did at times have our characters yelling. My baby, in the middle.
Saying at night, there's a bit of yelling and screaming going on. I'm surprised.
This is interesting.
I will tell you what, we have like one of those crazy camera things, right?
Yeah.
And once you get one of those, it connects you to this network of everybody else who has them. We get the weird people like in the morning, they'll be like, what about those owls? You're like, what are you talking? So I could just imagine like if someone was filming, you'd have people like calling the police and, just like,
I'd lock you fuckers
walking down
up.
the street covered in blood or whatever.
I'd lock you guys up. I'd put you in jail. I'd burn your films, everything. Just kidding. Let me just a second. Let me share the promo.
Oh,
okay.
You guys are talking about cops and blood and everything else. It's probably a good idea we share the promo. And
a clip.
A clip.
If you play with you just a little bit, I just might.
Okay, now I'm starting to feel like I need to freak out. Please tell me you see that.
I see that.
I really wish you hadn't said that.
Who is that?
It's Nathan.
Is it that weird kid from around the corner?
It's probably just some crazy fool just living out his dying fantasy. I'm trying to scare people like us.
Okay, what do we do now?
Just walk and hope that he doesn't follow us.
Still there?
Yep.
Is he following us?
Nope.
Still?
Just wait a second.
Okay. Sure?
Yeah. See, I don't see the bloodfish town anywhere.
I got to tell you, that whole scene, I kept expecting that clown to be there. Like,
I know,
because he kept looking back. I mean, I was watching the other night. I'm like, he is going to turn around, and that guy is going to be standing like right behind them. Like the whole scene plays out, and I'm just like, oh, the whole time I'm like, no, he's going to be there. He's going to be there. Run. It's like,
yeah. And I do want to share one more clip real quick. It's another clip of this fine show. It's one of the big stars. One of the big stars.
Sounds like sarcasm to me.
Yeah.
No.
Sounds like a setup. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Catastrophe continues its barrage of earthly destruction as the moon continues its trajectory right towards the planet. Still a mystery, its orbital hell spiral is still impending with just literally hours to spare. By the way, we are now only one of 3 programs left airing in the entire world. The tides continue to wreak havoc on coastal cities, with flooding moving as far inland as 2 miles, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, monsoons.
That's right, William Shatner.
Meteor hits. Shanghai is gone. The meteors have been studied since they started falling 4 days ago. They are determined to be rocks directly from the moon.
From the moon.
Moon rocks?
Jesus.
Press play.
You missed your calling.
I guess.
No, I was
It's
awesome.
like looking into a mirror.
Yeah, I was awesome. I had to play that.
So fun fact, people who did not know Tony back when we shot this film, who he's only known within the last year, asked him if he was wearing a fat suit when shooting
Oh
that.
my God.
Did you
True
tell them?
story.
Did you tell them yes?
Yes, I did. I said I was method. I did a full. I ate pounds,
was
tons
De
of
Niro.
pasta to get ready.
Got
Yeah.
AIDS.
So you and Christian Bale, right? You gotta like
Yeah.
Me, Christian
Bale,
Bale,
yeah.
same, totally
same thing,
exactly.
right? Yeah. I did. So it was interesting. I did notice the name of the TV network. The little, yeah, I did. Yeah.
There's
So
a
that
million.
was-
There's a million little jokes in the film.
Yeah.
Some are actually related to the plot, which maybe people will pick up on, maybe they will not. But of course, when you need to when you're coming up with stupid things like the call sign for the news channel, you're gonna do silly stuff.
No.
We're so smart. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
we're
so smart. You're
goddamn clever.
stupid.
So
Yeah.
clever.
Okay, we did that. So how'd you guys get it onto Prime? How'd you get this out into the world? You make this product, you have it. How do you take this? I mean, we live fortunately in a different world. It's developed so much in even the last 5 years where you can take care of your product. You don't have to go through like all this stuff.
It's actually, it turns out it's still not that easy.
Really?
It is. There was a vetting process, which Al, do you want to take her from there? Like,
Yeah. So I'm friends with a producer. Her name's Jane Gertiza. Hey, Jane. And I've known her for years. We actually PA'd together years ago back on commercials. And she is one of those. She produced a short film I directed. She and I have just been trying to.
what was the name of that film?
Miss 3 p.m. It was a little thing. She and I have been wanting to work together on something bigger for a long time. Now, Magic Hour had already been made. And, again, we were going through our process, between work and life and personal things and just all sorts of things that kept delaying the film. The timing got to where Jane reached out to me out of the blue and she was like, listen, I met a guy he's a distributor and he's looking for things to put on Tubi. And she kind of kept talking shit about Tubi. And I was like, what's wrong with Tubi? I love Tubi. There's all this like cool stuff on Tubi. And they were looking for something to put on Tubi. They were looking for content. And I told her that Magic Hour wasn't done yet. And she was like, didn't you like start working on that like 20 years ago? And I was like, well, not quite, but yeah, it's not done yet. And she said, well, let me get it done and I'll send it to them. So we got it to where it was about 95% done. And I sent it to her and she sent it to her distributor. And they came back saying, this is like better than almost everything we put on Tubi. And, I'm not going to shit talk my own film, but it's a little film. It's a small film, right? I had no budget or anything. I will say this, our DP, and you can tell by the clips that you showed, his name's Dre Daniel.
Yeah.
Everything was shot with practical light. All those stuff out on the street, that's just street lights and the moon in the middle of the night. And he got it to look amazing. So big shout out to Dre.
No lights in that. There's no artificial lighting.
The entire film is 100% practical lighting.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a testament to a good DP. I initially thought I could just shoot the film myself. I'm a terrible DP. I can get an image, but it's going to look like crap. It's going to look flat and whatever. So getting Dre was amazing. So we sent them the film, and the distributor was like, "This is better than like everything we sent to Tubi. Get it to us. Finish it." And so, I said to Tony, I was like, "Dude, we got to burn them in that oil. They want the movie. They want the movie."
So that's where let me jump in and say, with all the things that Al and I have been going through, who's working, who's not, who has time to do this. So, and it went from so years went by and we had this spark, thanks Jane, where we're like, would it take us 3 weeks, a month at the most? And we knocked it all out.
It took us about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it took us about 5 weeks.
And by the way, just for other filmmakers out there, a couple things did change. Like one of the things holding us back was the audio, and it sort of seemed like it was very kismet where these audio plugins came in at the nick of time where it was able to analyze the microphones on the camera and clean it up for us in a way that Al or I just didn't have that skill set. And so it really helped.
Yeah.
Things have changed in the last, I mean, I just talking with Nathan with stuff he does for our cleanup, right? So much more has gone from manual to these processes that are just amazing, that run through and do all kinds of cleanup and normalization. They've really taken some of that really painful work out and made it manageable, I guess. It's a better word.
I mean, nobody's going to replace a solid sound engineer, but it definitely helped us get to the end zone.
Yeah, if you can't afford a solid sound engineer, it's a big, big, big boost. And I will say, the biggest thing that Tony, so one of our biggest stumbling blocks was ourselves, because there's thousands of low budget movies come out every year. And I never wanted to make low budget films. I didn't want to be a low budget, no budget filmmaker. I'll do it, but that wasn't my goal. And even though we have no budget, we were like, it has to look great. Everything.
Yeah.
It has to be slick as shit and look like 20th Century Fox gave us $40 million for it. And obviously they didn't. And so we were our own worst enemy, and nothing was ever, we were always like, it can't be that. We can't have the sound be that. We can't have this look like that. The effects, whatever, they're not going to be great, but they can't be that.
So you're saying you're your own worst critic.
We are our own worst critic. And what the biggest hurdle and the biggest lesson that the two of us learned in that last month, those last 5 weeks of getting the film done was, Tony?
It's good enough.
It's good enough.
You were just say that.
It's good enough. And when you finally realize that, it's like this weight comes off your fucking shoulders, and it's like, it's good enough. And I look back, and the sound isn't perfect. There's plenty of parts where the sound is kind of like, what? Okay, whatever. There's a few sketchy scenes. There's some things that I noticed where we were getting just about ready to send off the final product, and I was like, that's good enough. That's good enough. Just get it to them. Let's get this stupid thing on Tubi. Which
think of all.
Oh yeah, so
the multi-$100 million movies that are made that people go and they watch and they go, they left a cup there, right?
Yeah,
there's
no like Game of Thrones.
There's no perfection, right? Like I don't care how much money you throw. There's someone who's going to leave a Starbucks cup on the table, or just
Gandalf
you're
with
right.
the
No,
Rolex.
it's a super healthy way to look at it, right? Because
look, there's no reason for a Marvel film to have shitty special effects. There's no reason for our film to have good special effects, but it did, right? And so when you have something questionable, whatever, it's fine. It's okay. If the story and the characters are good, people will let stuff go. I mean, look at the original Star Wars. So many of those effects shots were terrible. They were just like very obviously bad miniatures. Look at Jaws. When you do see the shark, it's like, okay, that's pretty awful, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right?
but that was theater of the mind. Yeah, because that's where your imagination takes off.
Well, it's when you're so invested in the story and the characters. If you can grab the audience that way, they'll accept anything else.
Oh yeah, good story takes you.
Technical stuff, as long as it's good enough, we got it in.
Oh yeah, you go back to the old sci-fi movies of like old sci-fi, like original Flash Gordon, right? It's like campy and all that. Nobody gives it. You can watch it now and still enjoy it, based on just what it is, because it's silly, but it's just story. I agree with you. It's the story. Like there are a lot of really blockbuster movies that were great sci-fi effects, that shit the fucking bed because that's what they rely on. And and I won't get into any of them right now, but you're just sort of like, man.
No, go ahead, get into it.
Yeah.
No, Tony. No, I won't get into Tony. Like, Skin Suit was one. I mean, I'm just going to talk about the movie that was never made. That we were going to make.
I gave so many fucking. Hey, I gave like 20 rounds of notes on that damn script. That son of a bitch better make it because I
had a very interesting role. He said, I'm not going to say what the role was because it probably wouldn't be appropriate because you'll be perfect because you could act just like this. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Tony. But it was but I was ready to do it. I was all about it.
By the way, for folks who do listen to our podcast, he kind of plays that role once in a while. Once in a while.
I think we know who this is.
No. So I am not, by the way, the worst member of our podcast. I just want to say that.
So, by the way, that could be a bit of a just to one thing that was really great about getting the film done, and now it's on Amazon. Is it's rekindling a lot of we're a bit older, and so getting this in there has been really a great spark for both of us in seeing what the next things are, and so we are writing the next couple of things where we're keeping this experience in mind. We're like, okay, well, what can we do with the limitations of what we have? What are the next couple of things that we can start to so we're keeping this low budget, this guerrilla mentality, ingrained with like, okay, we know what it takes now to get this sort of a scene done, to get this sort of a cast together.
So let's be real. Know a little bit about your background. So, Alan, you worked on Megas XLR, right?
I did. I was the head writer.
Yeah, there's right there Anthony as well. And there's some other things in your background. You guys both have a background in audio, video, working at different organizations, and getting this out here, even though it took you a few years, which because by some admission is your own fault because you were too hard on yourselves.
Well, Tony keeps trying to get regular jobs, and it's just he's got to realize he's not a regular job guy.
I know, man.
Here.
His only thing that kept because of the warts. We won't talk anymore about that. But anyway, I think if you guys keep going, it's if you can do it and you can get it up there. I mean, Matt got to watch all of it. I haven't, but I am enjoying it. I find the story good. I find the lead characters great. I find the little subplots good. The just special effects for $0 are pretty amazing. And getting, and I think anything else you make, given the technology has improved since you made the movie, would be even more better. But you should.
We should give a shout out to Gabe.
Yeah. So
Gabe.
So our visual effects.
Not Nathan's son, Gabe, a different Gabe.
Different Gabe.
Yes.
Gabe is actually he's a visual effects veteran. He's been around for a long time. He's worked on some huge projects. And he was staying with me at the time that I came up with doing Magic Hour. And I said to him, I was like, listen, I have this idea for a film. It does need a few effects. Do you think these are things that we can just do? And he was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, because I'm going to write it. And we're going to shoot it. And if we can't get those effects, then I can't finish the film. And he was like, nah, it's good. So, and, he did it. He got us effects.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
It's not I would say it's not a movie about special effects, but I think there are a few scenes that it was truly pivotal.
It doesn't rely on it, but it's nice
I would say the beginning, I would say the end, right?
Well, again, the idea is
without that.
Yeah, that it takes place, away from the spectacle of an apocalypse film, but it is an apocalypse film. So yeah, if we didn't have, the bookending parts and the little things here and there, you never would have known it was an apocalypse.
Right. No, yeah, but being a lover of apocalypse films and zombie films and all that myself, I found some of the we talked earlier about some of the interesting challenges the characters face, the main characters face. It's a little different than normal, and I think it just makes it a little bit more like, okay, yeah, this could happen. The world's weirder than you think it is, folks. I'm telling
Right, the
you.
world is weirder than you think it is, and your neighborhood is weirder than you think it is. And
Yeah.
I think the main thing that I wanted to do, besides make an apocalypse film, was I really wanted the film more than anything to be a romance, and I think it is. It's sci-fi, yes, it's a suspense movie, yes, it's all these things, but it really is a romance. And I would always tell people this, and they'd be like, "Really?" And I'd be like, "I find the film incredibly romantic." So
Well,
I'm proud of
I
that.
think you are correct, because I will tell you, I don't know how I missed when Tony posted this on our Discord or whatever. I don't know how my dumb brain heard what the movie was about. So I tell my wife, I said, "Hey, we got to
I
watch
told
this
you this
movie. We're having the guys on. It's just kind of, it's a post. So the way, I don't know why I thought, it's like the way I explained it to her was, yeah, it's this couple, they go on a date and they're, and
That's
get
not what I told 'em.
separated, and they're trying to get together so they can,
No.
have sex, but then
No.
and I don't know why, like in my brain, when I heard it,
No,
that
that's
it
not
was
what I
like
told
this
them,
like
guys.
comedy. And so then we start watching it, and we get like 15 minutes in, and my wife looks at me and she goes, "This is really sweet." And I was like, "Yeah, I think I might have understood the plot wrong." She's like, "I think you did." Like, so,
No. No.
You heard it here
she's
first, first, folks. Magic Hour, full of surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah, but-
She's very picky.
It's
She
magic.
watched and so the only thing she asked me beforehand, she goes, "It's not animated, right?" Like, I don't know. She's weird. She won't watch animated stuff, but she really, she was like, "This is really sweet." I was like, "Yeah, this is." And no, I agree. It was. It was a love story with really weird things, really weird,
Not
bizarre,
David Lynch weird,
end of
my
the
kind.
world things.
No, it's not a David Lynch movie. There'd be somebody huffing some oxygen and some weird short middle dude speaking his tongues. But it's but I thought you set the tone right in the beginning, because it's sort of very romantic. It sets a tone, and then it just, as the journey continues, it starts taking that little odd turns. You're like, okay, like, the clown scene I showed you guys. After that, it's all gets much more interesting. So
Did you brainstorm these characters? Was this like, because there are some very
That's a
interesting.
good question.
I will tell you without ruining anything. The one that freaked me out, the salt guy.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was a real
Yeah.
weirdo.
Yeah.
That was really weird.
yeah.
Like,
I wonder who that guy was.
but so what was the? I mean, is this just how you? Like, did you look outside your house one day and go, I bet my neighbors, if everything went to hell, this is what they would be like? Is that?
No, I didn't
So
think he
I don't
thought
know-
about his friends. I mean, that's what he thought about.
So I don't know what this says about me, but Tony can
It says a
certainly
lot.
tell you.
Not a lot of
long
good
enough.
things.
He's read a ton of things I've written. He's helped me make a bunch of stuff. But I love just weird, strange characters, and I love putting my characters in weird, strange, awful positions and figuring out if they're going to get out of it, how they're going to get out of it. So these were just things I thought would be funny or fun or scary, and they one of the old theories of film is everything's been done, right? Everything's been done. You're going to tell the same story, and that's true, really, to a degree. The difference is, how are you going to tell the story differently than other people? And as a writer, that's where I really have fun. That's what I love writing, figuring out how I'm going to tell the story in a way that people start to recognize it's one of my stories, whether it's in film, whether it's in a written story, or something I wrote for a novella, or it's people. I didn't realize it was happening, but I started creating my voice as a writer. And I think Magic Hour is a great example of me. And oddly enough, because I wrote it so many years ago, as a writer, I look back at it and I'm like, man, I totally would have wrote that differently now. Like I've evolved as a filmmaker and as a writer, where I'm like, well, I'm too late to change it now. But I think that's what's so great about it, is that we can tell the same story in a different way. And for me, it's about the characters and coming up with characters that are believable yet just so weird and putting my, that's what I like.
No, I think
Nice.
I think you did that in this story, and I would like to I would like to segue, if I could segue or segue or whatever, into in the last 20 minutes of our podcast. To give you guys the opportunity to talk about some other projects you're thinking about, or anything else you want to talk about, because I think we are getting dangerously close to start revealing plot hooks of the Magic Hour, and I don't want to do that because Matt's just dropped one hint and I almost reached through the internet and choked him. So given my serious statement about what future projects you consider, Tony, you talked about some things, and Alan, you talked about like something coming up. So we were before we came on. So why don't you, if you got something, throw it out there.
Tony,
Whoever wants to go first. Alan, you got something you're producing or getting ready to put out? Or
well, one of the things Magic Hour has done for us is that we have made this connection through a distributor who has access to all the streaming services. Like I said, Magic Hour was supposed to go on Tubi, and then all of a sudden, Jane, the executive producer who hooked us up with the distributors, is like, "Oh, hey guys, we're on Amazon," and we were like, "What?" We were like, well, "I thought we were going on Tubi." What this has done for us, before financially anything like that, is we know that there are people interested in seeing what we make and getting it on streaming services, and they can do that. And if Magic Hour was at a level that they were impressed by, then we know we've got that bar set already, and we know we can do that. So they've told us certain things that they're looking for, different streaming services are looking for. We have come up with a few different ideas to be done very, very cheap. There's still no money involved, but that we can get, additional content made and then up on these streaming services. And the idea is that we'll start building some sort of recognition, assuming anybody. I mean, it might, we might get it on a streaming service and then everybody hates it. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
So, and one thing, like Al, and you guys know me for a long time, we love our weird outlook on the world. And so that's one thing that we're excited is that, Al has his definite take and we love it, and you guys know me with my kind of weird sense of humor, so it's allowing us to write to that instead of trying to just make everybody happy, because you can't. I'm definitely learning to write for myself more than because you got, again, we've had the podcast for 4 years, and it's that weird take on things that you guys for some reason seem to enjoy. So, and Al definitely has that as well. And I think Magic Hour speaks to that. That's just really like Al said, can you imagine what this is with zero budget? Can you imagine having this under his belt for certain, what the next things are. We know how to, we know how to work fast, cheap, but also, deliver, really, our own weird but cool take on storytelling. So
and the more that we have, then we can use to seduce investors for other things, right? So, but that and our giant cock.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the days of just throwing cocaine at people to get money is over. So that's the 80s. They're over.
So kids, everybody watching, just go into your mom and dad's purse tonight. Remember to
steal all their shit.
Listen, stop. I'm already.
Send us your dead grandmother's silverware.
That's right.
Now, find anything old, those old banknotes.
But
gold's up to gold's going up to 5,000 an ounce. If you can get us a few of your family's golden rings, we can melt down.
But it is it is giving. We do have an opportunity to know. One of the things that really was killing us with Magic Hours, we didn't know what was going to happen with it. Even if we finished it, we didn't know what was going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Once we knew what was going to happen with it, we were like, "Oh my God, somebody wants it." So now, when we have projects, and I've got a few low budget horror scripts. Some are written, some are not written. I have worked with some independent horror people who may be interested in this thing. So there's opportunities now, but knowing that we can produce something and at least get it to somebody who can get it. If they feel
Right.
it's something they can make money of, they can get it on a streaming service. So
Right.
there is an end game now. So it feels
Yeah.
a lot more like we're not just going to make something and then show it to each other and go, "Hey man, isn't that awesome? Look what we made." It's actually something that global distribution.
So, Alan, what sounds like you made this, you had this. Well, took a time to get together, and dragged on a little bit. Didn't really know what you guys were going to do with it. You knew you had something, you just didn't know how you're going to get it out there.
Yeah.
If you're just going to share it with your friends or whatever. And then Tubi came along, your good contact, and that opened the door for you to get to Amazon Prime. So the lesson for you guys is like, oh shit, we can do something with this. We just didn't know how to do it before. And it's about because the world is about. Let me finish just a second, Anthony. Don't cut me off, man. I'll come after you. But anyway, the thing is, like the world. Something I tell my kid is, I truly mean this, and I think we all know this. Is the world's a lot about networking. It's about using the avenues and you're never too old to learn, because you figured, you would know something like this, and you're like, oh wait a minute, this is how we do it, right? So I applaud you for that, because I would never have gotten that thing up. Even if let's say me and Matt and Nathan made something, that shit would be sitting in a freaking 8mm can somewhere, just not like that. That's yeah, baby. But I applaud you on that. I think that's great. And I think more will come out of it now that you're excited about it.
Sean, you're dead on. Like, networking relationships mean something. And Al and I, for years, we would say, like, don't burn your bridges. And so, because somebody, as they say, somebody you meet on the way up is the same person you're going to meet on the way down. And so Al had, in our executive producer, Jane, it's been it was a number of years since you guys made contact, and all of a sudden opportunity, because if we were dicks, nobody wants to work with you. So you got to keep those relationships fresh as much as you can.
Oh my God.
And with Jane, it happened really
that
fast.
it's actually a small community.
I didn't know her for a long time, but she met her contact, the distributor, poker game, like a week prior, and he was asking her, "Do you have anything? We're looking to get stuff on Tubi and Amazon and Netflix and all these other things." And she was like, "Let me think." And she's like, I better call Al because he'll probably have something he wants to do." And that's when I told her, I was like, "Yo, Magic Hour still ain't done." And she was like, "What the fuck? How's that not done yet?" And I was like, "Well, we suck."
But we'll get it done now if you want it.
We'll get it done now.
So I got a question about so it's, you can rent the movie. It's this is not a high price thing. What percentage of a cut would you guys get back from that?
Oh no, we'll totally tell you.
When we did the deal, this was the deal with Tubi, or what we were under the impression was going to be Tubi. But again, our deal was with the distributor. So what we did is, I guess this is a standard deal, at least for this distributor. We didn't care, honestly. Tony and I just wanted to get the thing done, and we were just like, "What? Yes, whatever. We know we're not going to make a ton of money off of this thing, but we can get it on some streaming service. Let's just get this fucking thing off our lap." So we didn't really even care about, and what we were told, the contracts anyway, the contract signed, was that we would get 70% of the revenue from the streaming service. All right, so the streaming service gets 30% or whatever.
That's all right.
And then we get 70%. And when Jane came to us and said, "This is the deal, how do you want to break it up?" I just told her, "Look, if you can get us a distribution deal, we'll split it 3 ways. You, me, and Cupo. I don't care." Because Jane, again, she had nothing to do with the actual production of the movie. But
however, she's the bridge.
She's gonna be our into getting this and potentially other things going, which might lead to money and a good career. I was like, let's just make it easy. We'll split that 70% 3 ways. So we don't even know what we're going to make 3 months. We don't get our first check until 3 months, and then after that it's monthly.
Okay.
So we don't know what we're going to make. I'm sure we're going to make tens of dollars easily.
Which
You
is
know
more
what's
than this
funny?
podcast has made in 4 years.
Well,
Yeah.
right. So, but it's interesting you say that. You just never know. So I will tell you my own experiences. After we were done watching your film, my wife, when I was going to do her thing, immediately I'm like, it's got at the bottom of the screen, like, well, you might also like, right? And I started like going through those, like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's it. And it was like, there's going to be folks who are going to be scrolling for something different. They're going to be in like the horror genre, and they're going to click on it. One of my sister-in-law, she gets a check every quarter for 4 books that she wrote like 20 years ago. Now, it's not a huge amount of money every quarter, but there's always someone buying. There's a few people buying these books all the time. So I don't know. You never know. I think it's pretty exciting. And I do think it was, it's good that you've got an in, right? Because that's probably still one of the hardest things, right? Is how do you get at that last, how do you get it
That's
over
absolutely
the
the
goal line?
worst
How do you
part.
get it on?
It's who you know.
I wonder how many projects have just been filmed.
Matt,
and
that
then
that
just
actually,
sat.
that's why I think Al and I are not so worried about like, hopefully this is very successful, but knowing that really, as we've been saying again and again, making the greatest film ever, but not knowing if anybody's ever going to see it, and just launching it, let's say on YouTube, and that's great and everything, but having this on a real on these platforms, like it means the world to us. And so it's really it speaks to which is why Al knows, like, if it landed on Tubi, like, hopefully pretty soon, that also is great, because like you said, when you have your Netflix, when you're in Netflix mode and you're just scrolling and you just click on anything you want, it starts playing. That's great. This one, Amazon's asking for a couple of bucks to watch it, and that's great, and we're really happy that it's on there. But I see benefits to both experiences.
Oh, so you're looking at having it on more than one streaming. They're going to have to also
More than one
release it on
platform.
Tubi, maybe,
Which they might do.
Yes.
We don't know. And I think last time we talked to Jane, we said, hey, can you ask them what the plan is? Does it go on multiple streaming services after a certain time? Who gets it when?
Oh, right. Does Amazon have like exclusivity for a while?
Probably for a
We-
certain
yeah,
amount of
we-
time.
I think they have a strategy that I'm happy to follow, which is, let's see how it does on this paid platform first, and then I imagine it's going to gravitate towards Tubi at some time in the future. I love that we're like talking about all this, like, because I
Like
think
you're going to be rich one day.
well, my thing is, like, I really feel like, because here's the thing, like, Al and I, we're not experts, we've had our careers and what have you, but this is exactly the kind of information I've always wanted when I was on the other side of it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, here's real numbers, and I'm happy to share, because if we could save somebody a lot of frustration, I'm happy to do it.
So I do have one question that's popped in my head. This podcast is the only podcast that is you've talked about your movie on.
So far,
This is the exclusive
Oh my
interview
God.
of the year.
I
Yes.
knew it. Yes.
I
Yes.
do.
We've broken
I do
ground.
have a couple others who have expressed in talking to us, but this is the first one.
Now,
This is the
fucking
first
A,
one.
man. Yes. See, Matt, we're growing. We're growing in scope. It's coming. Our time is coming.
Okay. Enough with the growing and coming, Sean.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No.
No.
I'm not done yet. I need
And
another
for
minute.
and by the way, Sean, I want to thank
I'm
you
a
for the
squirter.
5 people who have been watching the entire time. I want to thank you. I think 4 of them are us.
We were up to 8. One of them's Tim. Yeah. I mean,
Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, is it nice to be able to say that you've completed this, it's out there, right? Like, that's a milestone, right? I don't know how many other, I guess I just don't know how many other projects that you've done like this that have reached, full publishing, that are out there on like a service. So maybe you've worked on some of those other big things like the Mega XLR. Those are clearly you've done
oh yes.
those, but is this like your first full feature film release?
So this is the first. This is my first feature film that I directed. I years ago I made I produced and wrote a Bigfoot horror film.
What's the name of it, Al?
Sasquatch Hunters.
Nice.
It was released on DVD by Sony, and it actually premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel, not as a Sci-Fi Channel original, but it played there. But this is the first feature film that I wrote and directed, and of course that's the goal, right? I want to direct. That's what everybody wants to fucking do. And so that is incredibly satisfying. It's incredibly. You have to understand that even making a film with no budget and just kind of winging it with friends is incredibly difficult. It is incredibly difficult to make a feature film and get it done, let alone get it seen by anybody. So I'm incredibly proud of that. I'm incredibly proud of everybody who was involved in the film. I think, everybody worked their butts off to get it done when they did. And it's a huge milestone. And if it's the only one I ever get, then I'm always going to be proud.
No, I think Gabe deserves some credit too, because Gabe did all the special effects. Sort of put it back out there, but Tony and Alan, you got something up on, like, you got it on Prime. It's not like a mild thing, and it's like when Anthony approached us about this, I said, "Yeah, my friend Alan, we got this thing. It's on Amazon." I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" It's like, what? This is why you haven't been online with us? I mean, I was just lazy. I'm working on this podcast because I'm trying to make something for myself. Fuck those other guys I game with. Me and Matt are going to make it. What the hell with them? But anyway, not true, Nathan. Don't cut us off. But anyway, Tony was grinding. Now we know some of the stuff he was grinding on. But it was worth it, because it's like, it's cool. It's like, imagine if I don't know, you're at a party. Yeah, what have you been working on? I just had my movie show up on Amazon Prime. It's awesome. It's great. It's doing it. What? That's a drop. You drop the mic and walk away. Yeah, sorry, I gotta get a drink. And you just leave. Don't talk about the movie. Don't say anything.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
So what I would love, we're going to reach out to some of our other podcast friends. Just try to spread the word. I think like you guys, like when you watch, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like this, like it's a lot of fun. It's very romantic, according to the director.
It's a very romantic.
It's a romantic movie.
I'm inclined to agree.
I agree. Ass eating, and not the way you think.
No.
Yeah, maybe it is the way you think.
Maybe it is the way you think. But if it's the way you think it is, there's something wrong with you.
Possible.
They're working on their next project.
So the next project. So Al and I are working in tandem on two totally different ideas, which we both really like. And so I guess the next month or two, it's going to be just forcing it. That's also great. It's like, Al and I are really good friends. My God, fucking 30 years friendship. And so what's great is we could tell each other to get off your ass and keep writing. And that's really valuable, is to have that person just forcing you to, get off the couch, and keep writing. And so what's the next one? It's not a competition. We're just both helping each other develop each other's story, and just take it to where that good enough area that we value right now.
So in a roundabout way, they have an idea, and they're not going to tell us about it till they're a little farther along in the project.
We got to be a little further along. But what I will say is this,
which is fair.
What I will say is that at the time we were told this is what, and again, this was because we were going on Tubi. This is the kind of programming Tubi's looking for, and these programs make a ton of money, and they're garbage.
On Amazon too, jeez,
And so we were like, okay, well, we're not going to go out of our way to make garbage, but if you're telling us this is what they're looking for, we will write something like this but it's going to
Yep.
be, again, it's going to be how I write, right?
No, I
I'm
think
gonna
you're
come
right.
up with a version of this that I would do. And so we
No.
pitched a couple of ideas, and
Dude, that's brilliant. Because if I'd say sharpen your blade in Tubi. Because if it's what they're looking for, and you got this style you like, which is an entertaining style, I'll give it to you. Do another one, throw it in there. Fine tune it the way you want it. You said you'd do something different. Do it a little different. Send it through and see how it goes. That's what it seems. That seems like a really smart plan. And
let us know when it's getting closer. You can give us
and we
more
got some
info.
people that'll play great corpses for you in the horror movie, or people about to die with one line like
well, the
something
good
like
news
that.
is once we have it written, and like Tony said, we're working on 2 ideas. I had 2 ideas, and I told him to write. I gave him one. I said, "You go write this one because I don't even know what to do with that idea. You go write that one, and I'm going to write this one." And so we've been kind of working back and forth, and we've already come up with a plan on if whichever one of the ideas gets selected, how we're going to produce it, right? How we're going to work together to get it produced. And, again, with Jane, maybe finding us a little bit of money to help get something made. And that's the plan. Then with each of these projects, we can make bigger and bigger things until Netflix is like, let's give you $80 million to make some stupid shit. And we're going to be like, okay.
Yeah. And that's when I get my driving gig. All right. And on that bombshell, we're going to summarize. We've gone over a little bit, but it's all good stuff. I'm going to close out the podcast and give an opportunity. Matt, you have something you want to add?
I don't really have much to add except for because we didn't cover it in the beginning. We had a lot to go over today. I just want to remind folks that next Tuesday for AARPG Live, we will be starting with our first ever guest GM running the old school role-playing game Top Secret.
Is that true, or is it me running Mothership?
No, we're running Top Secret next.
You sure? I thought
Matt Orr is running. Yes.
Are we sure about that?
Yes.
Okay.
You are running Mothership after Top Secret.
Okay, just checking.
That's what the vote for. You're going to
I
have
was
your
there for
revenge
that.
game. You're going to have your revenge game. And
Oh, it's
Thank
going to
you,
be revenge
Therese.
too.
the Top Secret should probably run. I think they're estimating around 5 sessions. And then we'll see from there. I think after that, it is Mothership with Sean.
Yes.
If you haven't had a
We will
chance to
suffer.
check it out, we just released our interview with Thomas Harrison from Free League Publishing,
was
talking
Matt and
about
Nathan.
the Kickstarter for the new Alien Evolved rule set. We also cover a bunch of other updates that are coming out for Blade Runner, Vaesen, Dragon Age, and their new IP, the Invincible IP. So take a look at that. And then I think also tomorrow we are releasing episode 29 of our actual play, Dragonbane, titled Glory in the Hole. So we'll be and I think our very own
Check it out, boys.
Cupo
Check it
is
out.
in this episode. It's one of his. So yes, Glory in the Hole should be releasing tomorrow. So that's all I've got for announcements.
So
Thanks.
next Thursday,
Cool.
the Leftovers Pocket, we're going to stream. It's going to be me, Tim, and maybe Malcolm. So we're going to come out.
Oh,
we're going to be
nice.
live. We don't have that's our horror entry. That'll be our horror entry will be next Thursday, Tim, because you're going to be on. But me and Tim and Malcolm, we're going to be talking all things gaming. Tim's going to has an interesting topic. I don't want to blow it. I'm not going to give it away. But something I think everybody enjoy to hear. It's generational. I'll just say that. Anywho, Alan, you have anything else to add?
No, I appreciate you guys having us on. Thank you so much.
No, it's a pleasure. And Tony, fuck you. Anyway, everybody,
Oh, yeah,
love you
fuck
all.
Tony. Yeah, fuck Tony.
Good night. And I love you.
Okay.
Love everybody out there except Tony. Good night.
Good night.